Millennial boomer. Back before game studio executives decided that video game box art moving forward had to look like this or this, publishers could exercise a lot more freedom with how they chose to depict the game on the cover. As you might imagine, this led to several interesting examples that make you wonder just what the hell they were thinking. To show you what I mean, I put together a list of the top 10 most scuffed retro game box art. Let's take a look. Number 10, Rival Turf. Look out, street scum, here come the Brawl Brothers. And without further ado, here they are. What is this, like the studio executive's son and his best friend? Rival Turf is actually a half-decent beat-em-up game, but I feel like the box art must have hurt their sales on this one. Also, look at the building in the background. What's up with that perspective? If we're supposed to be looking up at the building, then for these two Backstreet Boys to be facing the way they are, they're either laying face down on top of the camera, or they actually jumped off the building and are falling towards us. Number 9, Earthbound. This game is good, or at least that's what I'm told by its considerable cult following. That said, part of the reason I've never played it is because of the box art. What is this on the front? What kind of game even is this? See, that's what my 10 or 11-year-old self was thinking, because the rental stores where I live didn't usually use the actual game boxes. So I had no idea that this was an RPG that came in an 8x11 box with an entire 128-page game guide included. I probably would have loved it, honestly, but unfortunately this thing kept me from experiencing a classic. Number 8, Dudes with Attitude. What do you think this game is about? Would you have guessed this? I don't even know what this is, to be honest, and I can't even blame whoever might have been paid to draw the box art, because looking at all this action, I don't even know what the hell I would have drawn either. Probably something that's equally as exciting as this gameplay. Number 7, Dino City. This is another good example of misleading box art. I mean, look at this dude. He's gangsta as fuck. He got a skateboard, he's throwing gang signs, and his best friend is a velociraptor with human teeth that somehow found a pair of Jordans in size 32. I don't know about you, but when I look at this, I'm expecting 8 Mile plus Jurassic Park, and when you put the game in and turn the Super NES on, you get... Number 6, Anticipation. Oh, I've seen this show.
You got it, dude.
For real though, it's a board game. We know that much. So let's take a look at the back. Oh, it's like Pictionary. You just draw something and your friends try to guess what it is, right? Nope. The computer draws. All you do is guess. All everyone gets to do is buzz in and guess. I kind of like the music though. Number 5, Bomberman. You might have heard of the Bomberman franchise, but you probably ain't heard of this guy. There's a couple things wrong with this picture, mainly because this is what Bomberman actually looks like in game. Also, he doesn't have a gun, but they gave him one in this picture, and they show him carrying a bomb, which you can't actually do in this game. It's almost like they commissioned the box art before the game was even completed, and if that's the case, it's no surprise that there was some misrepresentation. Number 4, Mega Man 1 and 2, kinda. Clearly the artist here and here missed probably the most important detail about everyone's favorite blue bomber. Homie's got a hand cannon. You guys gave him too many hands. Did you lose count? Really though, I think these two are an even further departure from the actual character design than Bomberman is. In fact, it was so notoriously bad that Capcom acknowledged it years later by adding bad box art Mega Man as a playable character in the game Street Fighter vs. Tekken. Number 3, Phalanx. The hyperspeed shootout in space. Obviously. Interestingly, in this instance, however, the confusing art was done on purpose with full knowledge of the game's contents. It was done by an ad agency that had the idea to come up with box art for the game that would differentiate it from the hundreds of other titles in the shoot-'em-up genre. In a sense, it worked, because the game is pretty notorious for that reason, and if it never happened, most people probably wouldn't even know it existed because the game itself isn't very special. Personally, I never rented it, but I do remember seeing Grandpa and his banjo chilling up on the shelf, waiting for some unfortunate kid to come along. Number 2, Fun and Games. To be honest, what they lack in style in terms of the box art, they make up for with accuracy. There's Paint, which lets you paint, there's a handful of simple mini games, a music composer that's not as good as the one in Mario Paint, and then there's Style, which basically just lets you change outfits on preset characters. So really, this one might be the most honest cover on the list, because the cover art is just about as exciting as the gameplay. Alright, before we get into number 1, let's take a look at everything we covered so far. And if you're into taking looks at things, maybe take a look at my Twitter account. It's the best way to keep tabs on what I'm up to, and it's the first place I'll be posting any updates about future videos. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into number 1. The number 1 slot actually belongs to 2 separate games, and let me tell you why. See, way back in the day, there was some kind of family reunion, and I had the opportunity to go to some distant cousin's house that I don't think I've even seen since that day. They were playing this game called Trojan on their NES, and I thought it was awesome, and I wanted to remember what the game was so I could beg my dad to buy it for me. Instead of asking them what the name was, I figured I would just memorize the box art, because that's what you see at the store anyway. Unfortunately, I was too young to read it this time, so instead I chose to memorize this dark blue background with a kind of red grid pattern floating above it. I thought for sure there wouldn't be any reason for another game to copy this aspect of the box art, and because I had to wait until my next birthday or Christmas or whatever it was to get my parents to buy me another game, all I could remember when the time came around was this blue background with the red grid. Imagine my dismay when I came home expecting to see this, but instead getting this. Fortunately, Section Z is actually a decent yet difficult game, but I do remember my disappointment being immeasurable. Honestly, I don't even remember if I told my parents about it or not, and I never did get my copy of Trojan. Thank you for watching the top 10 most scuffed retro game box art. If you like what you saw today, stay tuned to this channel for more videos in the top 10 again series. And if you have any ideas for a future video, feel free to leave a suggestion down in the comments. Thank you for watching.